welcome again to 5 Signs It's Time to Switch from ServiceNow. We're very excited that you chose to spend a little bit of time this afternoon with us. I'm Dick Stark, and I'm RightStar's president. We also have on the line today Alan Reynolds, who's our Atlassian pre-sales consultant. Both of us, both Alan and myself, have been in the whole ITSM space, and if you call it ITSM or if you call it AI TSM, whatever you want to call it now, we've been in this space a long time, and I think we've got some good takeaways for you all. So with that, I think it's time to get started. So wanted to start off and just tell you a little bit about RightStar in case you hadn't heard. If this is the first time you've joined us, RightStar is an ITSM / lean agile / DevOps consultancy, and we've been in this space, like I mentioned, for a very long time. Of course, we've been a BMC solution provider. We're also an Atlassian solution provider, and a long time for certainly for both of these. If you've heard of SAFe before, we're a scaled agile partner, which is an important thing if you're trying to go through an agile transformation right now. We've won a number of different growth awards over the past few years. We're actually part of a company called Extivia, which is a lot like us, only they're a little bit bigger. They're certainly a big focus in the DevOps space. You can see this the Forrester circle here. We actually ended up, they did a ITSM consultancy, and what they did is they just evaluated other ITSM consultancies that were out there, kind of like RightStar, and some big companies as well, like ServiceNow and BMC. And they rated us, and we ended up, if you scored up, added all the points up in 5th place, which was a pretty good deal for a company like RightStar. So we're very proud about that. And then we've also won an ethics award, as you can see. We were based in the Washington, D.C. area, and so that was a big accomplishment for us as well. With that, let's get going. Alan, you're up.
Sounds good. Super. Well, let me go ahead and move to my first slide here. Well, good afternoon, or I mean, I guess maybe good morning still to a few folks. So like Dick said, my name's Alan Reynolds. I'm a pre-sales system engineer here with RightStar. And like Dick mentioned, I've got about 25 years or so experience in the IT consulting and solution implementation space, and about 15 years or so of that now in the ITSM and ITIL spaces. I'm both ITIL V4 and DevOps Foundation certified as well. So that's just a little bit about me. So over the last, it's been over a decade now that since ServiceNow took the industry by storm when they moved enterprise service management into the cloud. At the time, promising lower cost and a more modern experience and freedom from high prices and long implementation times and the low ROIs that plagued the industry at the time. And for many companies then, the switch was a no-brainer. But as businesses rapidly changed over the last decade, many of those ServiceNow customers are finding it's time to switch again. They're preferring a more modern, streamlined IT workflows that embrace collaboration and automation. And they want tools, IT tools that bring dev and ops teams even closer together. And they're looking for open, extensible, and truly affordable IT service management solutions without punitive renewal terms and other sort of legacy vendor shenanigans. And as companies sprint towards that digital transformation, they're recognizing that every team in the company really needs to be operating with the same urgency and velocity. So development and IT and operations and business teams all have to come together in order to respond to business challenges and deliver great digital service experiences fast, or they run the risk of going out of business. But more traditional service management tools and processes hold teams back, keeping them in silos and limiting visibility. So in the just released 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for IT service management tools, Atlassian made their first appearance and were named the only vendor in the visionary quadrant, as you can see here on the screen. It's kind of funny to me, 10 years ago, ServiceNow was where Atlassian is today on that quadrant. And with more than 35,000 customers, Atlassian is also the fastest growing company in the report this year. Gartner loved Atlassian's agile approach to ITSM and their transparent pricing and their continued focus on the convergence of digital experiences around development and operational and business teams. But is moving to ServiceNow from ServiceNow to Jira Service Management right for your team? Well, let's look at today at 5 signs we've heard, the top 5 signs we've heard from other customers that have already made that switch. And if you find you're suffering from one or more of them, maybe it's time to take a closer look at Jira Service Management from Atlassian. Dick, did you have anything you wanted to add around?
Yeah. The one thing I forgot to mention is we're not here to bash ServiceNow, because ServiceNow has been around for a long time. They're obviously doing very, very well. It reminds me a little bit, because I've been in the whole IT space for a long time. And when I first got in, there was an old adage that no one would ever be fired for choosing IBM. Well, fast forward today, and would anybody even say that anymore? And then it kind of morphed from IBM. It morphed as computer networking kind of was front and center. It sort of morphed to, well, nobody would ever be fired for buying Cisco. Okay, well, what's happened with Cisco? Well, Cisco is still a huge player, but there's other companies that are out there now, like Palo Alto. So lots has happened in that space. You look at what's going on with Salesforce. I mean, they're sort of the 1,000-pound gorilla. And of course, there's in somewhat a fight, but I think it's mostly a friendly relationship with ServiceNow right now. But we just never know what's going to happen down the road. I mean, it's really hard to be number one just year after year after year. And so we're trying to tell you that there's different options available that are out there. And we were really thrilled when Atlassian made it into the Magic Quadrant, because before this year they weren't out. And so we had discussions with their product team and said, hey, it's better to be in, even if you have a lower positioning, than to be out. And so they're in. And I think that the only way to go is up from here on out. So Alan, keep going.
You bet, we'll do. Let's talk about our first sign. So the first sign is you need more visibility between development and IT and business. So as DevOps philosophies and practices gain momentum, ITSM and the way it fits into the entire software service delivery lifecycle really needed a reboot. Development and IT and business must converge. That's where everything's going. So Atlassian has been investing in an ITSM solution that connects these teams so work flows seamlessly from concept to design and on to building and launching and operating and supporting great product and service experiences. In that recent Gartner Magic Quadrant report we just talked about, it also states in response to digital disruption, ITSM tools are beginning to address integration requirements with the DevOps toolchain and the support for agile workflows across ITSM processes. So Atlassian's providing a new direction for service management, a differentiated approach to ITSM that centers around DevOps and agile service delivery. So if you're having trouble connecting incidents and outages to recent software changes, then maybe you need a service management tool built for DevOps. When something goes wrong, the best place to start is often with asking, what changed? Looking at new software releases that may have triggered an incident or an outage. But many of those legacy service desk tools just aren't equipped to give you the visibility you need across the DevOps lifecycle. When they, they keep the service desk isolated from DevOps tools with little or no communication or connection between them. So if you do want to switch to service management, Jira Service Management, you can bring dev and IT and business teams together in one place. Jira Service Management is the only service desk built on a software development platform, Jira software, that connects IT teams and dev teams so they can collaborate to fix incidents and push changes with confidence. And service desk agents can easily see what's changed and link Jira Service Management tickets to Jira software issues so that they can stay updated on bug progress. And developers, on the other hand, can see the problems customers are having in real time and easily convert Jira service management tickets into new Jira software backlog issues to create permanent fixes for those things. And the easy, powerful post-incident review process in Jira Service Management and Confluence, really helps to close the feedback loop and improve learning and sharing. And all of that allows your team to come in from an agile perspective and connect DevOps to IT and encompass all of your service areas. So when you switch, you also can get valuable DevOps insights that no other service management tools can deliver. So with IT and DevOps teams collaborating on a single platform, Jira Service Management can surface new insights that go far beyond the basic reports built into legacy solutions. Developers can easily see exactly how many minutes, excuse me, exactly how many minutes of downtime a bug caused, which product features are associated with the most tickets, those kinds of things. And incident managers can track whether developers have completed important remediation work and monitor trends like a percentage of incidents related to new releases or something like that. And both teams can create personalized dashboards that help them understand how they're operating and how they can improve and see that impact in their whatever impact their particular work has across the whole DevOps lifecycle. And you can even measure business impact of knowledge sharing, tracking how many tickets have been deflected or resolved with the help of Confluence knowledge base articles. And the last bullet point here, if you switch, you can use the broader power of Atlassian's whole stack. So ServiceNow is really service management, right? So consider the capabilities you have across the whole of the Atlassian suite. That's team collaboration via Confluence. That's project management via Jira software and Jira work management. That's modern code repository management in Bitbucket. That's customer-facing outage dashboards and notifications and status page. That's Kanban style list making and sharing in Trello. That's pretty much everything you might need to support your whole organization. So before I move on here to slide 2, let me give you a chance, Dick, again, if you had anything you wanted to add on this one.
Yeah, well, this is something that if you go back in time a little bit, Atlassian and they sort of developed in this space, and they started with a very simple mission, and that was really to unleash the power of every single team. Now, it could be a dev team, which is kind of what they were known for. It could be a business team. It could have been an HR team. Any type of team like that. They just make great software. And if you were to bring an Atlassian sales rep and a ServiceNow sales rep into the same room, they would probably say, hey, at least at some point, they might say, hey, one of us is in the wrong space, because ServiceNow would say, hey, we do ITSM. Atlassian would say, hey, we do DevOps, and that's really not the case anymore. And in fact, Atlassian has been in the ITSM business for quite some time. And the one thing that they do well is to try to get, like you said, Alan, Dev and Ops all under the same umbrella. And they can do that without having to have another tool like ServiceNow. You can certainly use Jira Service Management, but they're not going to win them all these things. And ServiceNow is so invested in many large enterprises that what they do a very good job of is integrating with ServiceNow. So I think that's something that you're going to see more and more. It's if you can't beat them, just join them, and that's something that Atlassian has done a great job at doing. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, sounds good. So the second sign is your support stuck in silos and your customers are suffering because of it. So remote work and distributed architectures and an uptick in agile methods and new ways of working really is stressing the seams of that old central command and control approach to IT and operations. Team autonomy with coordination is paramount here. And Jira Service Management provides teams across the enterprise with the flexibility and simplicity required to run fast and operate with autonomy while still allowing for common terminology and experiences and administrative controls necessary for coordinated work like that. But most legacy service management tools just weren't built for that. Sure, they may offer a basic workflow configuration or some team level options, but they weren't designed from scratch with modern agile methods in mind. And Jira Service Management was built on a modern collaborative agile platform with benefits extending far beyond the ability to just bring dev and IT under the same platform. Tight integrations between Jira software and Jira Service Management mean seamless workflows between dev and IT. So Jira Service Management breaks down those silos and between developers and IT and business operations. So if you switch, when you switch, you can resolve incidents faster, DevOps style. DevOps isn't just for developers. It works great for incident response too. Jira Service Management now includes Ops Genie, the #1 alerting and incident response tool. So when a new Jira Service Management incident is created or an alert is received from an integrated tool like Datadog or PagerDuty or Status Page or something like that, an incident can be created in Opsgenie directly from the Jira issue. And that includes a command center complete with voice and video and screen sharing and on-call scheduling to rally just the right experts to swarm around that trouble and resolve it when you need to. And Opsgenie not only pulls in all of the incident details from Jira Service Management, where team members can, add comments to the ticket and update status of the ticket and that kind of stuff from Opsgenie. But Opsgenie also pulls in related information from the Jira Service Management service catalog and even pulls in related commits from Bitbucket to help locate the source of that trouble. So when you switch, you also can learn and improve and prevent future incidents together. So over 35,000 companies worldwide already use Confluence to create powerful knowledge bases for employees and self-service resources for customers. And you can add it to Jira Service Management seamlessly, which is a big reason why companies are making that switch from legacy service providers who offer less popular or outdated knowledge sharing solutions. And then once an incident is resolved, Confluence becomes the single central place where teams conduct post-incident reviews and share retrospectives and create knowledge base articles and those kinds of things to capture lessons learned and prevent future outages and improve the overall quality of IT service. And if you switch there, third, you can empower teams to deliver value fast. So instead of an overly centralized one-size-fits-all approach, Jira Service Management provides a modern work management platform built on Jira, the leading platform for tracking work across the enterprise at scale. And that platform allows diverse teams to get started quickly with adaptable processes that fit the way they work, while being able to standardize on tooling for a national or global organization or something like that. And any team can stand up a new service desk in Jira Service Management in like 30 minutes. So Dick, I will move on to my sign 3 here in just a second, but I also wanted to give you a chance to see if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, and great points that you're making. And one of the things that comes to mind here is that, again, go back to that, we're competing for a piece of business. And you've got ServiceNow on one side, you've got Atlassian on the other, and they're saying, hey, if you want a enterprise-grade ITSM system, we're the way to go. And Atlassian is saying, well, wait a minute, how about us? And let me just give you a real quick success story here. Because RightStar, like I said, has been in this space for a long time. We're in the DC area. We have a large number of customer accounts. And one of them in particular just went live. And they have a 40,000 different employees at this particular organization. It's a very large law enforcement agency. And they have about 1,000 help desk staff, and there's 225 unique locations. So if that's not an enterprise, I don't know what it is. But anyway, the nice thing about this is that they've decided, because of their unique organization, they wanted to roll this out in a hub and spoke fashion. So in other words, they wanted to have this central database where all the tickets were stored, but we wanted to have that personalized support at each of these one individual locations where you could get somebody that could swing by and work with you, or at least have somebody potentially in the same neighborhood anyway. And so we spent some time, and we've got that rolled out. It's working great. They use Confluence as a knowledge base. There's a huge HR group, as you can imagine, with all those employees, and they're using the Jira Service Management for HR, knowledge management, and incident management as well. So it's just more than IT, and then it's more than just a small bug tracking system or work group that they're working with. So it's enterprise grade. So it's live and going great. So just another proof point. That's all. So
cool. That's great. Thanks, Dick. So third line here is that you feel weighed down by heavy workflows. Here, right-sized functionality is just crucial. ITSM cost, complexity, fatigue, and frustration is at an all-time high. But it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, Atlassian's committed to being a solution, the solution of choice for enterprises looking for a fresh approach to ITSM, one that focuses on delivering the right set of capabilities with that its customers actually need in a transparent, cost-effective kind of way. So stop paying for complex processes you'll never use, get the best without the bloat. I mean, today's customers expect fast, no hassle service. And in response to that, IT teams are gravitating toward leaner, more agile approaches that value ease of use and collaboration, and moving away from solutions with heavy change management and approval processes that create bureaucracy and instead of collaboration. So if you've grown tired of paying for ITIL workflows you're never going to use, it may be time to switch. So if you do, you get a leaner, out-of-the-box approach to ITIL. Now, Atlassian's not trying to build out all the features to be the next ServiceNow 2.0. That's not their goal. The Jira Service Management takes a leaner approach to ITIL that customers love, including everything you need right out of box for service requests and incident, problem, and change management, and now service catalog management too. And with Jira Service Management, you can link incidents to root cause problems and in one click and give everybody visibility into remediation progress and then link those problems to changes. And all of that can be linked to a service from your service catalog. And you get it all without paying a premium for a few dozen other ITIL workflows you're never going to use. Now, of course, you can also easily extend Jira Service Management with some powerful apps that we'll talk about in a bit if you have some ITIL processes like release management or deployment management or something like that you need. So second here, if you do switch, you get high ROI and a lower cost of value. I mean, many teams simply don't need a full ITIL coverage, but they're paying for it anyway, both in bloated subscription fees and in lost productivity caused by heavy and complex workflows. But don't overpay for ServiceNow features you don't need or even use, many organizations just aren't taking full advantage of ServiceNow. The way I think about it, ServiceNow is the Ferrari that you bought and you maintain and you register so that you can drive your kids to school or like a 7-course meal at a 5-star restaurant when you really just wanted a snack. I mean, not everybody needs all of the features and functions for simple tasks. Jira Service Management offers that modern approach to ITIL without all that bloat. Dick, do you have anything you wanted?
Yes, you've really made some good points here. And if you read the trade press and what's happening in this space, it's all about AI ops, AI TSM. It's about automation, making things simpler. And this is great because all of a sudden, all these complex workflows that we do are going to be automated and you're going to require fewer people to do things. And so ServiceNow is right on top. The challenge there is that I haven't really seen that yet. Now I know it's coming, and there's some, we have one customer that has made an investment in UiPath to do some automated things. I don't think it's going very well though. And I'm sure it'll get there at some point, but I know that it's complicated and it's expensive. And most enterprise software companies want to cross-sell and upsell, and so there's always going to be other options for you to sell. Then, like at ServiceNow, like Alan was alluding to, there's this thing called Pro, and it's like a 50% upsell. It gets chatbots and everything else that you need. But is everybody really ready for it? And I'm sure that once these things mature a little bit, Atlassian is going to be right there anyway. So start with what you want and move on from there as things evolve down the road. So
cool. Thanks, Dick. Well, your first sign is you're just paying way too much. So Atlassian is and always will be less than a half to a third of ServiceNow's license price. Cost, of course, shouldn't be everything when you're choosing a service desk tool, but I mean, in fact, it's more important to choose a solution that delivers the value you need today and room to grow for tomorrow. But at the same time, nobody wants to overpay for fancy features they don't use or need, and many legacy service desk providers are still charging legacy prices. So, it's not though just the huge difference in monthly subscription fees that add up though. Complicated contracts and lengthy implementations and expensive consultants and pricey dev teams dedicated to maintenance and customizations, all that quickly compounds your costs. So if you're drowning in these extra expenses, or maybe just looking to free up some budget for other priorities, maybe it's time to take a look at Jira Service Management, recently named the most affordable and popular ITSM software solution by Capterra. Atlassian's model it allows customers to pay as you grow, and really only for functionality you need versus the legacy vendors upfront monolithic investment model and lock-in contract kind of approach. So if you switch, you enjoy a transparent, competitive pricing model with no hidden renewal or true-up costs. Atlassian's pricing is considerably different than ServiceNow's. Licensing costs is the challenge often with ServiceNow. With all the various licensing components, and you incur variable costs for features like API usage or the number of CIs in your CMDB, which can incur additional costs. But instead of hidden prices and difficult negotiations like that, Atlassian offers a competitive and transparent pricing model. Atlassian's pricing is easy to understand and predictable, while many of the legacy vendors are still playing these pricing games to get you in the door with upfront discounts that expire, and then you're holding you hostage with big price hikes or hidden fees at renewal time or things like that. They're like the cable companies of service desk software. But Atlassian feels all that's silly. That whole approach is silly. They just want to keep prices totally transparent and affordable and predictable. So if you switch, you enjoy a 30% or more savings over ServiceNow. I mean, why pay more when you can pay less, right? Jira Service Management gives you a full ITSM solution for a third to half of ServiceNow's list price, which translates into huge annual savings. And the larger your company, even the better the prices, since Jira Service Management gets cheaper with 16 users or more. And if you switch, you enjoy use cases for ITSM and beyond at no extra charge. So ServiceNow requires paying for modules like legal and HR, which require additional license purchase, and Jira Service Management makes all that available in the same license. So rather than making users pay, configure additional modules for new functionality or use cases, some of those legacy vendors, Jira Service Management includes customizable templates for ITSM and customer service and business teams like HR and finance right out of the box. So that flexibility and simplicity of the product that allows every team across the company to offer a basic service desk to intake and fulfill requests from marketing and creative teams to legal and facilities and things like that. And on this topic, Jira Service Management is free for approvers. Now, users who don't need to be agents, but who do provide approval when needed, business approval kind of thing, they're not included in licensing with Jira Service Management, where ServiceNow requires those approvers to be licensed. So we are working down towards our fifth sign here, but Dick, I'm going to stop again and see if you had anything you wanted to add on this one.
Yeah, there's something I wanted to share here, because we've always, since we've started the company, we've always sort of offered an enterprise ITSM solution, and then we've also offered more of a mid-market. And they do, primarily the same thing. I mean, there's some added features in the enterprise over the one that's non-enterprise. And so I couldn't really figure out this entirely. Was, why is there so much interest in paying a lot more money for the enterprise? And so I happened to attend one of these conferences, an ITSM conference, and we had a bunch of CIOs that were sitting on the stage. And so I had an opportunity to ask the question. I said, well, there's different ways you can spend your money, and what gives? Why would you want to spend so much money for relatively little added value over the amount of money that you might spend on a more mid-market solution? And the answer came back was really pretty simple. And they said that, we have such big budgets. We roughly get about 10%. Our IT budgets are about 10% of the overall company budget. And so this isn't whether we spend, $1 million on a ServiceNow or 500,000 on something else. It just doesn't make that much difference. Okay. And in fact, it's really better. I mean, if you have more expensive software to offer, it must be enterprise grade. So companies would therefore want to buy that. They wouldn't want to buy something that was less expensive. And so I get that. So Atlassian has been, slowly raising their prices a little bit to make it look more enterprise-like. In fact, they had several years ago, they had, hey, we can, for all the money you would save by not choosing ServiceNow and instead choosing Jira Service Management, you could buy an island in the Caribbean. Well, they don't advertise that anymore, because I think it makes it look like they're not on the same level as the ServiceNow. So it may have been a good idea a few years ago, but it's really not anymore. So anyway, I think you covered everything pretty well here. It's not necessarily about price. but you can still save some money if you happen to be a little bit more cost conscious then.
Cool. Thanks, Dick. Well, let's move on to our fifth and last sign we'll talk about is you're spending unnecessary time and effort. So if you've grown tired of employing an army of developers to maintain heavy customizations that add big bucks to your administration costs, it might be time to switch to a tool that's quick and easy to set up and easy to use and maintain and customize. So if you switch from to service management, you get a faster and easier setup and deployment time. So ServiceNow can take on average 4 months for a really basic implementation to over 8 months to more than a year for a more mature one, longer than the industry average. Service management goes in less than half of that time, in just 2 months average. And while Atlassian solution partners like RightStar are available to help with larger, highly specialized deployments, it's easy enough to do it yourself, saving a ton in services and training. And Vistaprint, I think we all know them, actually did that, rolling out Jira Service Management to 4,600 employees in 22 locations in 5 weeks. You notice there, their associate director of operational improvement said that it was very cost effective to implement it. The manpower involved was pretty minimal, and within 2 months, we had all of our locations up. So when you switch, you also enjoy easier configuration in an ongoing way and administration and maintenance. Jira Service Management's designed to be easier and more intuitive from the ground up, so it's easier to configure and administer even at large companies. And Jira Service Management Cloud customers enjoy not having to move anywhere. You enjoy updating in place, whereas many ServiceNow customers have had to migrate to new platform versions, and you know that costs time and effort and money. And ServiceNow requires 2 annual upgrades, so every organization has to upgrade twice a year, which makes it a huge ordeal to stay current. And those who don't, who get more than 2 revisions behind, aren't supported. So once they get implemented, ServiceNow customers often end up spending 4 or 5 figures to keep it up if they've heavily customized it. I mean, that's 3 to 4 months of highly paid resources to re-implement the solution and incurring that cost year after year after year. But with Atlassian Cloud updates roll out automatically using microservices. So there's no special cycles for upgrades or remediation with ACE reports and that sort of thing. And again, while Atlassian solution partners like RightStar are available to help every step of the way, and of course bring a wealth of experience to the table, Jira Service Management is easy enough to maintain and even extend on your own. So third there, you'll enjoy a modern approach to customization and extension. So today's Jira Service Management's an evolution of Atlassian's great Jira Service Desk capabilities to the enterprise level with the acquisition of and tight integration with OpsGenie's alert management and CodeBarrel's automation for Jira and Mindville's Insight asset management and configuration management and Halp's conversational ticketing. But Atlassian's not stopping there. They plan to further enhance those capabilities in Jira Service Management with more recent acquisitions of ThinkTilt's Proforma, a form building app, and Chartio's reporting solution. And they're not going to be done after that either. Atlassian's going to continue to improve and expand upon the product from here out. So while Atlassian offers teams today what they need right out of box, and even with more greatness coming soon, you'll always have the flexibility to build an app if you need to on your own. Now, apps that you may write on ServiceNow's platform require a license fee, but you know, why spend a fortune maintaining costly customizations? Like many of the companies in the DevOps area, you might be making the shift from those closed off, tough to integrate with tools to a more modern solutions that embrace openness and extensibility. And as a Jira Service Management customer, you'll easily develop your own apps, integrate with other cloud products, and extend out-of-box functionality using Node.js or other open community-driven frameworks. And Atlassian's APIs are fully open. They offer extensive Jira development guides to make it easier to build out your own applications or connect to Jira Service Management with some other external systems. And it's really a trend that's just getting stronger as major enterprises continue that push toward open source frameworks like Node.js. But yet many of the legacy service desks just aren't following suit, and they're just doubling down on proprietary platforms that require costly consultants and extensive training on those proprietary languages or frameworks. And all that just makes it harder and more expensive to connect your systems and maintain crucial customizations and deliver top tier service to your customers. And finally here, if you make the switch, you enjoy tons of ITSM marketplace apps to make that integration and extension even easier. So instead of writing your own app, try one of the Atlassian marketplace apps instead. Atlassian's modern app store approach gives you hundreds of great choices for adding new value to your service desk rather than a walled off platform that stifles innovation and growth. Now, it's of course going to be impossible for me to tell you about all 600 plus Jira Service Management apps, but if you can imagine it, it probably exists, and the Atlassian marketplace probably has an app for it. And with those marketplace apps, you can install them at the click of a button without the need for any custom coding. And many of them provide one-click integration to the other tools you already use without having to write a single line of code. So before I move on to my wrap-up slide here, Dick, let me give you just another chance if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention we have another good success story here at enterprise grade again, and this is another government account. It's an Air Force account, and this particular group here manages hundreds and hundreds of different software programs. And so obviously Atlassian and some other DevOps tool sets are really in play there. And this was not an typical ITSM incident problem change and configuration. It wasn't that kind of a help desk. It was really just a help desk that supports the software development lifecycle of this particular group. So things would come up and they would need to put in an incident or a ticket to help out and figure out what to do. And so this had been in play. There was a legacy system that they didn't want to use anymore. They hadn't really done anything with that system for a long time. They said, well, let's do something different then. So they decided that they would take a look out there, and the Jira Service Management seemed like the best deal at the time. And so they started, and they rolled this thing out in an agile fashion, and were able, from startup, which was just a concept, to actual go live was 6 months. It was just incredible how fast they were able to do this. And of course, one of the reasons is because they built it out on this government intelligence platform called DI2E. And so that had already, all the ATO, authority to operate, all the security stuff had already been taken care of. And that usually takes months and months and months. So that saved them a huge amount of time. But they also installed this in an agile fashion. They had different Scrum teams that were involved in getting this stood up and getting the approvals through and the testing done. And when they were done, they had a full-blown system that has since been expanded now to include an enterprise change request and variation request and enterprise change notices and work authorizations as well. So they rolled in this other capability at the same time and got that up and again running a short amount of time. And the end result is they won an Agile Transformation Award from the Air Force. That we were a subcontractor here to a big systems integrator. And so that was a very big deal. So it goes to show you that, and by the way, did I tell you that DI2E didn't cost them anything? There was no software cost because another agency picks up the tab for that. So it was a great deal, very successful in terms of their budgets and the time that they were able to save to get everything up and running. So again, good things can happen, and yes, Atlassian is ready for the enterprise space. So Alan, back to you for kind of a wrap up here.
Yeah. Let me move on to that, my last slide here. So we're living in and working in a rapid changingly age of rapidly changing digital transformation and a constant demand for always on services and sky high customer expectations. So it's really no surprise that IT teams need more modern solutions to automate, accelerate, and deliver end-to-end services and always on services. Yet with inflexible workflows, unintuitive interfaces, and clunky experiences of some of those legacy ITSM tools were really built for an IT of the past, not the one of the future. So because of this, it can be difficult to evaluate and decide which ITSM tool sets provide the highest ROI while meeting modern IT teams' needs for flexibility and ease of use and collaboration and things like that. At a glance, one tool might seem to have all the bells and whistles, but then it's going to cost you dearly in the form of long deployments and expensive consultant fees and difficulty customizing workflow and so on. Atlassian set their sights on how to sort of quantify some data about this to show the impact of flexibility and ease of use and collaboration on business. So they commissioned a total economic impact study from Forrester Consulting to help measure the related benefits and costs and overall ROI from Atlassian for ITSM. So through interviews with Atlassian customers across diverse industries like technology and consumer electronics and education and travel, both globally and in the United States, Forrester built a composite organization that demonstrated the benefits of switching to Atlassian over a 3-year period. And the study found, what you're looking at on your screen there, a gain of 240%, 246% return on investment, a 61% improvement in service agent productivity, and a savings of $8,000 by retiring legacy ITSM tools. So, I know it's a big move, changing service management tools, but for many ServiceNow customers, that the benefit of switching to Jira Service Management has far outweighed the cost of staying from increased collaboration and extensibility to leaner ITSM workflows and dramatically lower costs. So, and for companies already using Jira software, that case is even more compelling, enabling, unsurpassed dev and ops alignment to help teams resolve issues faster. And, Dick mentioned this earlier, but keep in mind, Jira Service Management doesn't have to be a full-blown replacement for ServiceNow on day one. There's integration points between the tools, so you could use them both side by side for a period of time until you've moved all your teams or until you don't need to anymore. So the question is a modern ITIL certified service management tool that's built for DevOps at a fraction of the cost of ServiceNow going to be right for you and your team? Well, I'd like to encourage you to find out, to reserve a time with us to get one of our product demos complete with a live Q&A. It's really sort of a must-see overview for anyone wanting to look at considering switching. Showing you really firsthand, just how simple it is to link support tickets and software issues and keep IT and dev and business connected. So we'll put up our contact numbers here in a few moments, but I think we'll also be sending out a recording of today, so you can always reply to that if you'd like to get in touch with us. So Dick, that's what I'd put together for today.
Yeah, great job, Alan. Well, I think I just wanted to close, and this is kind of an interesting takeaway, but obviously the future is very bright for both Atlassian and ServiceNow. They're both growing like crazy. ServiceNow has an excellent reputation for great sales and marketing and good products, and Atlassian has a reputation for great software. The thing that's kind of interesting here, and I think a lot of you probably know this, is that Atlassian grew pretty much from the bottom up. In other words, they didn't really invest in sales team, and they were the first enterprise software company not to really have much of a sales force. Now that's changing now as they're moving forward and they're a public company now. But they are now, Atlassian is $2 billion in sales revenue, and they've always said we're going to take all the money we saved on sales and we're going to put it into software development. And so today, in their latest financial reports, 46% of their sales revenue goes to R&D, which is a huge number, and only 18% of that goes to sales. Okay, but that's, as I said, that's growing. Well, ServiceNow, they're twice as big. They're about 4.5 billion in terms of sales revenue, and 24% of the sales revenue goes to R&D. So it's about the same amount of dollars that each company is spending, except that ServiceNow is got much bigger in terms of sales revenue. And they're spending a whopping 43% on sales and marketing. So when you think of ServiceNow, you think of great sales and these very expensive enterprise account reps, which you have to have. And of course, Atlassian is firing back a little bit, and they're doing the same thing. So they're investing in their sales teams as well because they want to continue to grow, especially at the enterprise level. So I think, again, future is very bright for both. I hope that you've learned a little bit. Maybe there's been some takeaways. Thank you for attending. And while we're waiting for some questions to come in, and I know they will, Alan, I want to just ask you a single question here, and that is, you've used this Atlassian Jira Service Management for some time. You're very familiar with how it works. And of course, you've used other enterprise tool sets. Is there one thing that sort of stands out that you really like about Atlassian over some of the other tools that you like? I mean, you mentioned a lot of things. If you kind of had to, kind of narrow it down to just one, is there anything that kind of pops out that you can think of? That
for me, it's the simplicity, ease of use, and flexibility of it. The idea that I can have a single tool and each of my 8 business teams can have their own place where they intake report requests and HR requests and benefits requests and whatever, and have dedicated folks sitting at those desks working through workflows that they've defined, that this is how we do work, so we're going to build that workflow into Jira, so the tool reflects what we do instead of us having to wrangle our process into a tool. I think that's the big plus for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we got a question here. Why does Atlassian have so many plugins? How can users keep them all straight?
That's a good question. And actually, I kind of get that a lot. So the reason for the number of plugins really boils down to the open API. So Atlassian's approach from the very beginning for the last 20 years has been to allow you to extend that platform to make it do whatever you need it to do. So they had an open API for those products. That open API lets you create or do whatever kind of integration extension or additional functionality or whatever you might want in the tool. But it's the fact that exists that has stimulated kind of a commercial market around things that are popular that you may want to do with the tool. Atlassian provides 99.44% of the functionality everybody needs out of box. But then there's some special use cases that folks have run into over the time. And if there's enough of that out there, there's an app vendor that wants to cater to that, which keeps you from having to maintain it and build it to begin with, and those sorts of things. So the reason there are so many is because there can be. Now, you don't need to be overwhelmed by it. No one can know and understand them all. There are a few that come to the sort of settle toward the top of ones that I see our customers using really often. But the beauty of having so many out there is that it really gives you some choices. So when you do want to do something that maybe the tool doesn't do out of box, sometimes there's 2 or 3 or 4 different options of apps you can look at and test and pick the one that does exactly what you want it to do.
I certainly agree. It's a huge ecosystem out there. Here's a last question for you, Alan. It says here that ServiceNow has out-of-the-box integrations to just about everything. Datadog, Splunk, you name it. So the question is, what about Atlassian?
Oh, okay. So alerting tools like that, Datadog, Splunk, SolarWinds, those kinds of things. There's out-of-box integrations with Jira Service Management now through Opsgenie for those. So Opsgenie was an acquisition of Atlassian's probably maybe 4 years ago now. That is fully integrated now with Jira Service Management to allow some of the things we talked about as I went along. And that Opsgenie piece of it offers that integration out of box to several of those alerting systems, those alert event management systems, so that the ones that need to can be turned into incidents to be worked and potentially wake somebody up at 3 a.m. So there's out-of-box integrations to those things with Opsgenie that would then funnel into Jira Service Management. Sorry.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well, thank you, Alan, for just a terrific job this afternoon.
I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, and thanks everybody that joined us this afternoon. We really appreciate that. We will continue these regular webinars, so I assume that you are all on our mail list and you'll get invited to different topics as they come up. If you'd like to contact RightStar, you can see the information different ways. Either hit our website, you can certainly give us a call, you can send us an email. We'd love to hear from you and talk to you about really anything. So we look forward to anything that you might want to throw at us down the road. Again, we appreciate your time, and we'll be back in touch with you whenever you're ready. Thanks again, Alan, for everything. Goodbye, everybody.